Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to look at some OP11 decks from Japan that have been doing well in their store qualifiers and flagships in this past week. And I know this is a little bit early for this channel, normally just kind of focus on the English meta, but with the two different metas kind of converging sometime next year, I did want to kind of get more used to looking at the Japanese meta as we see it. And then I also just spent a whole lot of time putting over 50 different deck lists from the Japanese meta for the last week, especially with the post-restriction list kind of meta that they have right now too. So just a lot to kind of go over, and I'm just kind of excited to look at some new decks and some just the different meta that we don't have right now too. So if you guys are interested in any of this, you can make sure to find out on my website on Eggman Events. You can find a link to the description. It has all these deck lists that we're going over and many more. There are many more leaders than just the 10 that we're looking at today, but it's kind of I had to cut it off at some point. So we're looking at kind of meta leaders, or at least new leaders, some kind of off meta stuff, and some just really interesting builds towards the end that I kind of personally like and have a bias for as well. So, and then if you guys also like the One Piece content card game, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of content here for not only the Japanese meta now, but we do a lot for the English meta, especially since the new regional season starts for the English meta at this weekend, and we're going to get a lot of data for that too. So jumping on into it, we're going to start out with the probably the strongest leader in the meta is Hayato's build of the Monkey.D.Luffy, the blue and purple one. And this is a really unique leader. It has this effect can be activated at the start of your turn. If you have 8 or more Dawn on your field, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat crew type card, and then add it to your hand. Then place the rest of the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So this is also a 3 life, but also 6k leader, so that's pretty unique. And kind of my experience through this too, from seeing a lot of it, and you know, some of these decks I did have some experience with in Japan when I was over there last month too. Is this is either like the best deck in the room or just a bricky mess. Like, we have to run so many cards that don't have counter. We have 26 in this build right now too, and there are some variances with it, but just the fact that you kind of have to run just such a big top end to get a lot of value. The combo that probably everyone knows, but in case you don't, is the 9 cost Sanji. So not only is it a straw hat, so if you are at 8 or more Dawn at the start of your turn, so this is before you add Dawn to go you know, up to 10. So if you have 8 and then you go to 10 at the once you use your Dawn phrase, you can use this to get the Sanji at the top, because also this is searchable because this is a straw hat crew, and then this also just lets you rearrange the cards on the top of your deck. So this is letting you draw 2 cards at the beginning of your turn, but then also setting up your Sanji plays, and can also set up like Sanji into Linlin into what Linlin is healing. So if there's any cards with triggers, that all kind of makes sense. So you can see where that can be very good. There's some just great synergies with it, but at the same time, there are a lot of cases where it's like, well, I have a lot of these non-counter cards, I don't have any way to get out of this. And again, we're only a 3 life leader, so I think part of the meta that exists right now in Japan is just kind of like this aggro edge where you are able to you know, one, put a lot of pressure early, even if they are a 6k leader, and then just make it so that they have to have a lot of counter in hand. If they don't, you get really rewarded for it. So other things to kind of mention about this deck: one, we do have some additional ramp from Zoro and Mr. 2. I saw a lot of builds that were just kind of like super ramp focused, so we're not only playing like the Gear 2, which is a new card from OP11, which pretty much says if your leader is specifically the blue and purple Luffy. It does also work for any other blue purple leader, but if you you can pay 3 to be able to ramp a Dawn. It also does have a counter towards the late game too, so being able to give only your leader up to 3k power for 1 Dawn is pretty good, so good for defense there. We also do have like some new kind of high costed cards, including this 8-drop Katakuri. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this for most of this meta, because I wasn't sure if it was like worth the cost for it, but it's just really good. It's really good for this deck. So blocker end of your turn, set up to 2 of your big bomb pirate type characters, cost of 3 or more of active, so essentially just itself in this deck, and having blocker is really good. Then also add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So this is supposed to work for the category leader a little bit more, which we'll talk about in a second, but being able to get that extra Dawn means that we can be a little bit more aggressive with our Dawn minus effects. For us to get our leader effect, we have to be at, again, 8 at the start of the turn before we get our Dawn. So if we're at 10 at the start of the turn, and then we use Lin to heal 1, and then we use like Gum Gum Giant to not lose because that's what this card says. Then we'd be at 7, and then we don't get our leader effect, right? So being able to get that extra Dawn from Katakuri is really helpful. So I don't have much more to say. This is, again, I think one of the strongest leaders in this game, if not the strongest. A lot of people are on it, and my only qualm with it, again, is that you are really, you have to make sure your consistency is really good. There's a lot of also just making sure that when you look at the top 5, that you rearrange it in the right order, and also just systematically remember to do the effect, because I remember that was something that I kept forget doing when I was in Japan too. But this is the build here from Hayato, and congratulations for their finish with the blue and purple Luffy. There are a lot of different builds though if you want to check them out too. So there you go. Next up, we got purple Katakuri, and this leader is also just really, really interesting. It has this: when attacking on your opponent's attack, once returned Dawn -1, look at the 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck, then this leader gets plus 1000 power during this battle. So this is also, one, you are able to, gain either plus power on your opponent's turn or your own turn, which is really nice. But the ability to look at the top card of your opponent's deck is like, it's whatever. But this deck is kind of built around it. So, like one of the better cards from it is like this Charlotte Paris Barrow. So activate main once per turn. You may trash 1 card from your hand. Choose a cost and reveal 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck. If the revealed card has the chosen cost, draw 1 card and then add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it to active. So what you're able to do with this is that you're at 1 able to cycle, but then what you do is you play Paros Barrow for 5, you attack with your leader, make it a 6k with the Dawn minus, look at the top card of your opponent's deck, and then afterwards you use the activate main to be able to get that additional draw. So that's, and also like the Dawn back, which is really, really nice. So this deck is kind of weird where you don't have like a lot of ramp associated with the deck, but you do have like these high costed cards, right? Like eventually you get to 8 and you get this Katakuri. So you don't really want to be able to, like, you don't really want to use your leader effect early, but it can be helpful. Charlotte Pudding can help you kind of regulate it at the same time, though. So your turn once returned. When a Dawn card on your field is returned, you can add up to 1 and rest it. So this is really good. It's only on, offense for this effect, but that is helpful for being able to use these effects more often. And then we also do have just like a lot of consistency cards. So mostly this deck is new purple cards, but we do have like this new Pudding, which does look top 5 for a Big Mom Pirates cost of 2 or more, so it can't find itself. But also, activate main Dawn -1, you can rest this character, look at the top card of your opponent's deck. So sometimes this is needed for what it is, which can be really helpful. We do have like this 2k, which is able to, sorry, this is just a 1k, this is a 1k blocker. We also do have like this Katakuri from set 8. So this is with Pudding, which I know a lot of people are also trying the yellow and purple Pudding with all this stuff, since it is also a purple Big Mom Pirates card. But you may trash this character if your leader has Big Mom Pirates type. Play up to 1 Katakuri from your hand with a cost of 3 or more that is equal to, or less than the amount of Dawn on your opponent's field. So what you can do is, if you're 8, you can play this for 2, use this activate main to trash this card, and then play your big 8 drop, which then you have a lot more Dawn to work with, which is really good. So it's a good kind of like upscale for it. And also, if you're at 10 Dawn, you can play one of these 8 drops and then also play another one off this 2 drop. So that can be really good, and I think that's really helpful for the deck. And it's just like a really interesting way that this deck works for its advantage. I also think it's just very like lore specific, which is really cool. That Bandai is really good at kind of incorporating that into their card games. And then our kind of like last big drop is this 10 drop Lin, which is only a rare, so that's kind of tells you how good the card is inherently. But if your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type, this character gains Rush. So just having a generic 10 drop 12k with Rush, but also on opponent's attack, once returned Dawn -5, which is quite a lot. Choose a card and reveal 1 from the top of your deck. And reveal 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck. If the reveal card has the chosen cost, up to 1 of your leaders gets plus 2k power during this turn. So you can get out some larger attacks with this. It's costs a lot because then you go down to 5 and you start the turn with 7, which means you're not able to even like use your 8 drop Katakuri effect, but that can be helpful if you need to get out of attack. So that can be good there. So I haven't really played this deck, but it is really interesting. And this is Hanabi's build for it there. So make sure to check it out. Next up, we've got Nami. So this is Ma-kun's version of the deck. And this is just a really interesting leader. I know a lot of people personally who want to make this leader work. It's really, really interesting, especially with BY Luffy kind of out of the meta as we've been seeing it. This has like a lot of similar properties to what this deck wants to do. So your turn, once per turn, you may activate this effect when a life card leaves any life area. So which we'll look at kind of how that works in a second. But draw one card if you have 7 or less cards in hand. So that draw is really, really nice. And then Dawn times 1 on opponent's attack once per turn. You may trash 1 card from your hand. This leader gets plus 2k power during this turn, right? So reading both of these effects, this seems pretty busted. I will say that yellow and blue's never been like a really viable color combination that's existed before. We've seen it with like Queen, which has got like a couple of tops in OP4, and then we also saw it with like BY or Blue Yellow Ace, which hasn't really seen a lot of play, but might get some play with the new Star deck that we get with the Ace and Whitebeard support. But this is just really, really interesting. So first, anytime a card is removed, so that means like Hiyori, you removed a card and added it back, so you do get that card draw, which is really insane. That works. Zeus, you play this card, you remove one of your own life cards, so then you get to get an additional draw there, which is nice. And then kind of towards the late game too, we have this 8-drop Captain Kidd, which I think most people are playing this card at this time, where it is able to trash a card from your opponent's life, which is not only good, but then you do get an additional draw, which is helpful. So, and then you also do get that additional cycle of that 2 or less. So I think all that's really, really good. And just kind of depends on like what you think is the best way to play this deck afterwards. So this one's more of kind of like a Wano build, where we do have a lot of our, if your opponent has 3 or less life cards, you get to play this. So like Inuarashi, Neko Mamushi, Kukunojo, and Satori, you just get to play no matter what, as long as you trash a card, which I think is really helpful. We also have like this Dendro as well, which you get to play. It's a 5 cost instead of a 4 cost. But Dawn times 2, if your opponent has 3 or less life, this character can't be KO'd by effects, which is not too bad of a card effect either. And then we do just kind of have our top end. We do also have Nojiko. So this was supposed to be for like Blue Nami back in OP03, but this being able to just be like, oh, well, I'm going to pay 2 and you're going to return a 5 cost back to your hand is still really relevant. So I do think this is a kind of auto include for most builds of Blue Yellow Nami. And then we do have like some new effects. So this is the Gum Gum Fire Fist Pistol Red Hawk. And I think this is supposed to be just, is it Fire Fist Pistol Red Hawk? You guys could let me know. I don't know the lore of this card as much, but main, you can rest 3 of your Dawn. If you and your opponent have a total of 5 or more life cards, you get to KO one of your opponent's characters with a base cost of 5 or less. So just some good removal. And then it also has the same counter up to one of your leaders gets this plus 3k during this battle, which I will say, like, I really do like these kind of like these main encounter cards that we've been seeing. We kind of saw it with Divine for red and in set 10 here for North America, but most colors are getting this by OP11, and this is just a yellow flavor of it, which I think is a really cool event. So other than that, we have like a lot of removal. We have Sables and Red Rock. We have Boa, which is able to get like a stun on a lot of things. And again, yeah, this is just a really, really interesting deck. I haven't tested this really myself that much, but I do know a lot of people who try to make Nami work. And with the amount of people who are, and just kind of how the deck reads and how the leader reads, I think it's going to eventually find a semi-stable build. Is this it? I don't know, but just looking at this leader makes me want to like test it more and do some more like building with it. So this is the build from Ma-kun, and congratulations for their finish with Nami. Next up, we've got green and purple Luffy. So we're kind of just looking at 3 newer leaders. I think those are just the more viable leaders that we have from OP11 specifically. We've got Luffy from EBO2, so this is between OP10 and OP11. This leader came out in EBO2, got half of its, it got some support from EBO2 as well, and then it's just kind of in the meta, right? It's kind of like what I look at from like Star Deck 13 Luffy, where you know what the build looks like. They just kind of built it pre-wrapped, and then you just play it, and it does really, really well for a while. So this leader is just really based on being very aggressive, being able to establish like a lot of 5-cost Straw Hats that do a lot. It has an activate main once per turn Dawn -2. If you only have Straw Hat crew type characters, set up to 2 of your rested Dawn active, then this leader gets plus 1000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. So being able to use this effect just means that you can be really defensive, but very aggressive too. It also helps you extend your plays. Even though you lose 2 Dawn, we do have cards like Sanji and Pudding, which once per turn, when your 2 or more Dawn are returned to your Dawn deck, set up to 1 of your Dawn as active, then also on play. The number of your Dawn deck, Dawn cards are equal or less than your opponent's, you get to draw 1 card. So just a really good 5-drop that you're able to get a lot of advantage from. And then also we do, so we're losing a lot of Dawn, but we get it back throughout our effects. We also do have like the Going Merry, which I didn't really respect how good this card was the first time I saw it, but being able to use it to draw a card, but then also give a lot of protection to your cards. You're almost always going to be behind on Dawn from your opponents. So being able to give like 2 cost to like the Sanji Pudding, making it a 7 cost means a lot of decks just really can't interact with it. And even if they can, like it's a like I think red's like the only deck that can kind of interact with it, but it's still a little bit costly to do so, which is impactful. So other than that, like we just have to run a lot of Straw Hat cards. I know Tony Chopper is not a Straw Hat, unfortunately, even though he is a Straw Hat character. But this means that if you can play this card towards the end of your turn, and you can have this as a blocker to get a Dawn back. As long as you block with it, so it gets away during your next turn, you can then use your leader effect next turn too. So I see most people kind of tacking this card in, especially since you set 2 Dawn active with your leader. It just means you can, easily just put this Chopper to kind of use the rest of your Dawn on a turn. So other than that, you kind of just have to see how this deck works to see play. But it just puts out a lot of bodies, a lot of pressure, and it's pretty scary at the same time. So last thing I'll mention is that I've been seeing a lot of people add the Luffy Taro recently in Japan. I'm not sure if this is going to be as impactful in EBO2 meta as it is in OP11, but being able to play any Straw Hat with character cost of 5 or less from your hand means we get to play the Sanji Pudding, we get to play the Zoro Juro, which is really good, and that just helps out like you're putting more bodies on board, which sometimes this deck kind of struggles to do since you are using a lot of your Dawn effectively. So last card to mention is the 6-drop Secret Rare. Most people are on 3 copies of it, so you see a lot of it through your deck, and you really only need to play like 1, maybe 2 throughout the game. But this being able to gain Rush is really great. The fact that this can also attack twice for 7k very easily is very good. And if your opponent kind of isn't affecting your life as much, you can be very aggressive and draw a card when you are doing your additional attacks. So anyways, I don't have much more to say than this. Also, Electric Luna. Also, purple is good, so we get to play Gum Gum Giant. From what I've been seeing, most of the meta, I would say, you guys can correct me if you know a little bit more, but I think like almost half the meta is this green and purple Luffy and this blue and purple Luffy. I know a lot of people are saying that Giant is probably one of the most busted cards, if busted cards, in this meta right now that might need to be addressed. But that's kind of been my experience right now in Japan. These 2 decks are very, very good right now. So kind of as part of that, I want to go over like some one of the decks I've seen a lot of people use to try to counter that, which is Betty, which is just super duper aggressive. With this, you're seeing that there's not a lot of new cards for this deck right now. The newest card we're playing is Zeus, and this does get rid of the Sanji and Pudding if you use it correctly, kind of on curve, and they don't have like a Going Merry, which is very, very good to be able to use an effect like this. So yeah, getting rid of 5 costs and then is I think at a bit of a premium in this meta right now too. But yeah, this is just kind of running the same stuff as usual. This is Gon's version of the deck, and just being able to use it to be aggressive. We can make 6Ks and also just 8Ks very easily with our leader effect of give plus 3K power to 3 different Revolution Army or trigger type characters on your board. So being able to do that, which we can't use that on Zeus. It's not a trigger, so too bad for Zeus there. But there are common play of playing Emporio, using it to play another army, and then we also can play Karasu, which we can use to make the blue and purple Luffy a 5K, which is just a menace kind of thing. So the fact that I've played a lot of like red purple Luffy, and Betty was almost always an auto loss. This is kind of the same theory. So if you want to try to get around the meta, this is probably one of the better leaders to do so. I will say, you kind of live and die by the blade a lot with this deck because it is very kind of trigger based and just based on, being able to find like most people won't like attack into you knowing that you will give them more resources by using any of these triggers. But this is what I've been seeing a lot of people saying is one of the better counters to some decks in the meta. It's just very polarizing in its matchups right now, but it is very strong, I think, in a lot of potential. So this is the build from Gan, and congratulations for their successes with Betty in this format. Next up, we've got Rob Lucci. So this is Radio's version of the build, and I was really like, all right, Rob Lucci might exist in OP10 here in English after the restrictions, but I'm really curious to see how it does in Japan. It wasn't, it was showing up every once in a while. I felt that I was really dependent on Gecko Moria in those formats where blue purple Luffy is running around. Like a good Sanji play is very, very menacing, but it's been seeing like Rob Lucci is still somewhat around and can find some success in this meta too. When I was looking through a lot of builds, some common cards I kept sawing or kept seeing was Tendrop Kuzan. Most people who are finding success were playing 4 copies of this Kuzan right now. And I think most of it is, and I didn't really talk about it in the Betty side, but there's not like a lot of removal from either of these decks, right? This deck kind of has like a little bit more removal, right? We do have like Raging Tiger. I've seen some people play Red Rock, right? And we do have like removal like 6 costs with Charlotte Linlin. But other than that, like if your opponent plays a card, it just kind of exists. We just have to make bigger cards and be more aggressive with this deck. And kind of almost doubly so with the green and purple Luffy, right? We're not, like, best case, we're not removing anything. We're just stunning things with Luna, which just means, like, we're not seeing as much of a, like, if your opponent are playing things on the board, like, well, unless we're getting rid of it with battle, there's just not a lot we can do about it. So I do think that's something that Lucci can take advantage of by playing some of these 4-drops like Laboon and Kuzan. These are just kind of going to stick for most of the board and makes it so your opponent has to answer them. And if they don't, you get rid of their bigger bodies, which is really, really nice. So this 10-drop Kuzan, kind of the same thing as that as well, being able to get that additional removal. I see a lot of people play Cobra. So this is an older card from OP05, but being able to be a blocker and putting a card into your trash is really strong. I think most people are playing this on top of instead of like Spandam and Spandine combos, which were generally just like the most used combos I felt like most of the times, but a lot of people are off of it in Japan, which is really interesting. And not even playing Hina, which I would always kind of consider, with Rebecca being still one of the strongest cards in this deck. So it's really interesting to see these builds of Rob Lucci. I haven't tested this obviously, but it's still finding success in Japan, even though it's shifted from being like a Gecko Moria deck to being more of a tempo build. So this is kind of looking like a mega control build where we just try to get to our Kuzan, being able to use it to just give everything that costs -5 and then just take off from there is really interesting. So this is Radio's build. Congratulations to their successes there. And next up, we've got Smoker. And, Smoker's been one of the more interesting decks, I think, in OP10 here, where there's just a lot of different builds. It has a lot of extension, and most people, including myself, just don't really know the best way to play Smoker. And so we play other decks because we're intimidated by not being able to play it correctly. But we do have a new card that just helps out the deck a lot, is the Peacock, being able to use this to search for Navy cards. So on play, look top 5 for a Navy card other than itself, and then also and then it bottom decks the rest. But then also activate main, you can trash this character up to one of your characters gains plus 1000 power during this turn. So the reason that this is really, really important is because we can use this to boost something into a 7k range, which then means we can use our leader effect. So that's just helpful. And it also means that essentially this is a free, like, no Dawn investment search if you give it the plus 1000, or we can bank it for a later turn if you don't think your opponent's going to get rid of it. So I think that's going to be really, really strong. You can do something like play Peacock if you're going first for 1, then you can play Sanji for 3, and then if you need to, you find the usage for it, you can get rid of it, and then you make the Sanji a 7k, you get 2 Dawn active, and then you're attacking 7k instead of a 5k for the turn. So that, I think, is really very viable and very helpful. I see most people moving more to like some Navy cards for it. So we have both X-Drake, the one from OP01 that lets you get rid of a 4 cost or less, as well as the X-Drake from OP11, which is a 2k. There's a lot of vanilla 2ks that start popping up with OP11 too. So this one's not terrible. The fact that it's also a 7k means that you can play it for 6, and then you just immediately have the additional 2 Dawn activation for it. So if you're on the even curve, you don't even feel like that upset about playing this card out, which is really nice. As long as you don't like have smoke. Like if you're upset about playing this card, it's because you didn't have Smoker on curve, which is worth being upsetting. So most people aren't playing the Eustace Kid, but it is like a 50-50 if they are or not. Hody Jones is still like one of the best cards, if not the best ender for this game, for this deck, specifically because you can tap down like blue, purple, Luffy, Katakuri, and their Dawn that they left active to play Giant. They can just be caught like with no defenses all of a sudden because you play out Hody. So other than that, I think this deck is really fun. It's very, very strong. Potentially it has like a lot of aggressive, and again, just having 2 Dawn open every turn, either defensively or using it aggressively after you use the effect, it catches up, right? Like it just gets a lot of value for it. So this is the build here from Chamezawa. Congratulations to their finish there. And next up we've got Enel. So this is Heart's version of the deck, and this deck kind of just dropped off here, right? A lot of builds that existed previously were more kind of defensive builds, which meant that having the Kingdom Come was really instrumental for a lot of success, just because you're able to have this ace in the hole if you need to remove something. And Enel hasn't really been played a lot here in OP10 in North America from what I've seen, but we do get a brand new card in EBO2, which is this Enel, which this is more just looking at like the EBO2 influence for this deck, but this being able to just be a 11k with rush, but also you can trash a card and make it a 12k with rush that lets you heal. The worst matchup I think for Enel right now is Teach. You really can't do any of your on plays, which you really need, which mostly includes you can't heal at all, which is outside of just using your leader effect, but they also get to turn that off the turn they play 10 drop Teaches. So it's just like such a rough matchup for this deck, which is also going to be one of your most recent ones in OP10. So I don't see as much Blackbeard though in OP11, so that is good for the deck. And then again, even if we are in like the EBO2 meta here in North America, this Enel is just going to be very, very good for being able to get us to this late game, get a lot of pressure, and it's just a searchable way if we want to go that way to get some extra advantage. So other than that, we do just have like a lot of good like tech cards. Zeus again is just pretty much a 4 of in any yellow deck right now. It's such a good 2k that lets you get some back of pocket removal if needed. We also do have Sanji, which is just a new blocker. A lot of colors are now getting like their queen blockers, where you get this draw 2 and trash 1. So just being if at 2 or less life, being a 5/6 blocker that lets you do that is super good. Just really great card advantage and helps you find your late game really easily. Most decks are playing Useless Kid at like 2 to 3 copies just to have a way to pressure your opponent's life, even though this doesn't let you heal. And then we also do have, again, like the Gum Gum Fire Fist, Pistol, Red Hawk, as well as like the 0 cost because you have to run it. So don't have much more to say. I think Enel is really interesting. I played a lot of it in Japan as well. It was one of my buddies' like backup decks, so it ended up being one of the ones I played the most. It does have a bit of an issue against the blue and purple Luffy, because if they set up, they just play big bodies faster than you can, and they also have heals and stuff, so it's kind of tricky from there. But I think this deck is really interesting, and I also think it has a good chance in EPO2 as well, thanks to the 10 drop Enel. So that's the build here. Congratulations to Heart for their finish. And then next up, we've got these are just kind of like more extraneous decks, but they're ones that when I saw they did well, I just was happy, so I want to kind of go over it. We've got the Star Deck 14 Luffy, and this has been like one of the most unique leaders, not only like how it works, but just the history of this leader. Didn't do really anything on Japan in release, did really well in the OP08 meta in North America, then kind of fell off, or like it was like 7.5. It did a little bit in OP08 when it got some support with like Jack, and then it hasn't really seen as much play lately. But we have this Navy build from Fūmiya that is really, really interesting, kind of just taking advantage of some of the cards that we got for the Kobe side of OP11, even though Kobe hasn't been seeing like a lot of play from what I've been seeing. But the important cards from it, one is like this Monkey-D. Garp. This is kind of like the most important card for it. So it's an 8 drop 8k. On play, you may place 3 Navy type characters from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Give up to 1 Rested Dawn card to one of your leaders. Then if there's a character with a cost of 9 or more, which is going to be this card, because if you give your Dawn to your leader, it gives the plus Dawn times 1, gives everything plus 1000. And then if you control an 8 or higher, you become a 6k leader on both turns. So it just has like such good synergy with Luffy specifically. But then if there's characters 9 or more, you get to KO one of your opponent's characters 7 or less. So if you play it on 8, chances are, unless you're playing against a purple deck, whatever your opponent just played was a 7 cost or less. So you get to get rid of it without any like cost in hand. You do have to like lose 3 navies in your trash, but without Gecko Mori to bring them back, there's not as much of a thing. You then become a 7k leader aggressively, 6k leader defensively, and then you can just do it again next turn. It's really cool synergy, and I think it's really worth playing a lot of these Navy stuff. So to kind of get there, we are playing brand new to help us put Navy cards into our trash. We also have I'm going to be a Navy officer, so look at 3 cards from the top of your deck to get a Navy card, then trash the rest, which is good. So you inherently just put 1 Navy card from your deck, or like this is a Navy card, so you're already putting 1 there. Then we do just have some additional cards. We've got Sengoku, so this is a blocker. On play up to 1 black navy card with a cost of 4 less from your trash rested. So this can be playing Kuzan, 4-drop the old one, but also the 4-drop here. So on play, trash top 3 cards of your deck, so that already just helps refill your trash for navy cards. But then it also, if it survives, when attacking up to one of your leaders, our characters with the navy type can attack active characters during this turn, which is really good. So this just looks like it does a lot. It has a lot of cool synergies, and just weirdly works with this Luffy leader, even though I don't think this is the leader that it had in mind. So I'm really looking forward to testing it. I haven't done it yet, but there's a lot of cool synergies again, and I think it's just really neat. So there it is there. And then lastly, we've got one more deck. It's Marco. You know I like Marco. This is Takubon's version of the deck here. And it's just kind of based on like what we've been seeing kind of since OP8 with like the Emporio package. I think this is still like the best way to play this deck, being able to just set it up very early to not only get some card draws from this, but get a 2-drop from the top of our deck. I've been playing more of like the Whitebeard focused version, but this one is just kind of more generically value based. So well, the new cards we've got here specifically is the Nami. We've been seeing in a lot of other decks, but this just being able to be a draw 3 and then either top or bottom 2 is really good. It's a blocker, which is helpful, which I think that was like one of the things we were missing from Marco specifically, is that we didn't have a lot of blockers in access to us. Like I think the only one we had previously was like Duval, which could get answered very easily, or sometimes we were playing like 3-drop Dofi and stuff. But this Nami just works really well, and it works with us as a leader, which is really good. It's also interesting to see Mass Deuce being able to use this to if we have just 2 extra Dawn one turn, we can use this to get rid of a 2K or less, which we can just work really well with Monet. We play Monet for 2, use it to give 2 Dawn to the Mass Deuce. We can then, give something -1K, and then we use an extra Dawn to use this Marco to get rid of something that's 1, 3, like a 5 or less, a 5K or less, which just ends up being good value, which is cool. So other card we have, this is new for Star Deck 21, but we've got this Nico Robin. Dawn ×2 when attacking, you can get rid of a 4K power less. So same kind of thing, especially if you already have like Monet out, you can then use the effect to get rid of a 5K or less, and then 7K or less with Marco, which 7K or less is kind of the card we were talking about. Gets rid of Sanji and Pudding even if they increase their cost. So that's worth the removal there. And then also means that we have 1 Dawn on leader, so we're 6K, and then we also have 1 Dawn on 2 Dawn on Nico Robin, which gets at 6K too. So I think all that's really great. We still have our late game removal of Newgate, Rayleigh, and Sanji, and then we still have our Divine, which I love this card. This card is really good. So I love playing Marco. I think it's still in a really good spot in OP11 as it is, and we do get bonus cards with the star deck as well as for the blue Whitebeard stuff, which maybe Marco can take advantage of some of those cards too. But there's the build there. But I've been talking for a bit, but these are just some decks I've been looking at. I think they're very interesting in this format as it is. And if you guys want to check out any of these, you can look at these. I think I have like over 100 decks on this page, so you just kind of doubled the amount that we're looking at, and over half of them are for the OP11 post restriction, which you guys can use the filter here to use that specifically. So anyways, that's going to be it. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to in the OP11 meta, and I'll catch you all next time.